Hi, Michelle Glass here. We are still continuing our Chapter 6, Lecture 6 series. We are looking at how a cell is going to break down glucose to make ATP. And we saw that that started in the cytosol with a process called glycolysis, which was making pyruvate acid, it was making 2 ATPs, and it was making some NADH. And then we looked at the process of how that pyruvate moves into the mitochondria where it is oxidized. So we looked at a step called pyruvate oxidation, which is also producing some NADH as well as our 2-carbon acetate. Our job in this video is to look at the third major step that's happening here still in the mitochondria. This process is called citric acid cycle, or you can also see this referred to as the Krebs cycle. We are still inside the middle or the matrix of the mitochondria for this reaction, same location we were at for pyruvate oxidation. Here's our reminder of what we saw in our pyruvate oxidation video. So we started with our 3-carbon pyruvate molecule, and we see that it is oxidized to a 2-carbon acetate, which is paired with a coenzyme to be called acetyl-coA. We see carbon dioxide gases given off as a result of this procedure, and we're seeing that NAD plus is reduced to NADH, so we're making 2 NADH molecules. We do need to keep up with the production of both our NADH and our ATP at each one of these steps so we can total up at the end to see how much we are making. Because that NADH molecule is going to be carrying our electrons over to the electron transport system, it does help provide energy for this process, so that is the reason we're keeping up with those. So remember, we've made 2 NADH in glycolysis and 2 ATPs in glycolysis. We just reviewed again pyruvate oxidation where we make 2 NADH molecules there. We will see in the citric acid cycle the third important molecule to keep up with is FADH. Or FAD plus 2, which when it grabs hold of those electrons will be FADH2. Now this molecule is very similar to our NADH molecule, it's just carrying more electrons. Okay, so remember we're inside of our mitochondrial matrix for this process, and we are starting with our acetyl-CoA, our 2-carbon molecule that we made during pyruvate oxidation. Remember, we made 2 of those, so we're going to see that this reaction is going to be happening 2 times. The citric acid cycle is always described as a circle or cycle because you're going to pair that acetate with citrate, and then as you come around to the end of this reaction, you're, I misspoke. You're going to pair the acetate with oxaloacetate to make citrate, and at the end you're going to end with oxaloacetate, which is there ready to pair with the next acetyl acetate that's coming in. So the thing that you're adding in new every time is acetate, and then you're going to see that this reaction will happen. Now, just like with everything we've seen already, there's lots of steps involved, and each one of those steps has its own enzyme to catalyze the reaction. You can review those details in your textbook if you're interested in a more detailed explanation of this process. Essentially, what we need to know is when we bring that 2-carbon acetate into the citric acid cycle, we're going to make more carbon dioxide gas waste. So this is another example of how we're getting that CO2 waste product produced by cells. We are seeing for each turn of the cycle that we're making 3 NADH molecules. We're making for each turn of the cycle 1 FADH2 molecule, and we're seeing a production of 1 ATP for each turn. So we need to add those up together so that in total we should see 6 NADH molecules being produced, 2 ATP molecules being produced, and 2 FADH2 molecules being produced. We are seeing, this is another example of a redox reaction. Is our acetate or acetyl-CoA, which is being oxidized, and we are reducing both that NAD plus and the FAD plus 2 to give us our NADHs and our FADH2 molecules. And those are going to be important because they're going to give us more energy down the line. So again, here's our chart to keep up with our totals here. So for, excuse me, citric acid cycle, because it happened 2 times, we want to make sure that we're adding up total 6 NADH molecules, 2 ATPs, and 2 of those FADH2 molecules. Okay, that's it for now.